Alright, so this video is going to be without prejudice or recourse. I'm not waiving any of my rights whatsoever. This video is about how to make a claim and goes into a little bit of details. You guys already know how I feel about attorneys anyway. So if you guys want to learn some things, how to do the process on your own and get away from these bar members from the Crown or from the United States or whatever, they're still bar members and they're still not acting in your best interest regardless of the situation. I made a couple of videos about the 4D program, which directly says, that they're not there to benefit you, the judge, or the attorneys. But the attorneys are never there to benefit you in the first place. They're directly obligated to the courts, and then to the people, and then to you. But never are you first. So I like this guy because he really goes in deep about the thing, and he's a little comedic about it. He kind of uses words, colorful words, I guess I would say, and which I don't disagree with the words he used, so it don't bother me one way or the other, but some may find it offensive or something like that, so just be on guard about that, okay? Check this out, but check out his other videos, alright, and just kind of look it up on top of the video here and go to his channel, because he's really awesome. Alright, again, I'm jealous of the memory he has and all that, and I wish I can just name off some of these things that he does. It takes me a little time and effort to pull some of these things off. So here we go.
Alright, we're back. I told you I'd come back and we'd get back after restructuring the claim. And of course, we did our first claim, and you might go a little more articulate with claim of harm by way of trespass. And again, that was for getting our docket number, if you recall and recollect. I deleted the document, so it's not like I have it anymore to pull it back up. But now we have a docket number. For entertainment purposes, we'll go EOC 11-2022 CIV-US. Let's just say that's the docket number that was given to us by the clerk of the court when we first filed our claim to get our docket number, right? And I told you what I like to do, whether it's right, wrong, or any different, is then I like to put together my claim. And I can see these lines are going to be all screwy. My apologies. I blew it up so everybody could see it. So again, the name of the court's up here. All the information for you is up here. And there's the information for the American Badass, which would be the claimant, whoever that is. Obviously, claimant. We're not doing plaintiff, defendant, all that gobbledygook. Just claimant and wrongdoer.
Okay, so American Badass is just the name. But when you do the way he has it structured is as a man. So you put the beginning name caps, and and the rest of it is small. All right, we're not going to go with the corporation side or of it. All caps. You're just going to write it like you would write your name normally, without being all caps. Just your first letter of caps, the rest of them small, alright? Because you're going in there as a man, and whoever the wrongdoer is, whether it's the judge or the cops or whatever, you're going after them as a man. So it's going to be beginning word, letter, caps, small letter, small, alright? Because you're going after the man. You're not going after the badge itself, because, well, they didn't cause harm, right? The cop did not cause you harm. It's the man in the uniform that caused you harm. That judge did not cause you harm. It's that John Doe that caused you harm. Right? So you go in acting, right? That acts as a judge or acts as an officer and all that. But that black dress didn't cause you harm. It's the man inside that dress that caused you harm. That officer did not cause you harm. That officer uniform did not cause you harm. That name did not cause you harm. It's the man inside the uniform that caused you harm. So you're going after the man and woman.
Wrongdoer, of course, is going to be John Doe Smith. And I'm going to lay out a scenario for you that's actually not too fucking far-fetched from what really happens, alright? You can argue semantics one way or the other, but again, my intent is just to show people how I lay things out, alright? So, a claim of harm by way of trespass, verified claim, the American Badass hereinafter claimant. Okay, we're doing that to make sure that I don't have to keep doing this throughout, repetitiously, over and over and over again. Saying it one time is more than enough. So hereinafter, we'll identify the American Badass as claimant. Okay, just simplifies shit. Brings claim against John Doe Smith. Hereinafter, again, instead of doing John Doe Smith every sentence or whatever, we're just going to go ahead and do wrongdoer, alright? And what's the purpose of the claim? It's for money damages, alright? That's why we're bringing the claim. It's for money damages and states, okay? So hereinafter, the claimant states, okay? Then we're going to get into the jurisdictional issues. So, jurisdictional allegation. This is a claim for money damages in excess of a sum certain, 15,000 United States dollars. That's not what we're actually seeking. It's just stating that we're well in excess of the lower court's requirements, and we need to be in the federal venue because what we're asking for exceeds the state jurisdiction, if you will. Maybe that's true in your state, maybe it's not. Nevertheless, we're going to go ahead and give them another jurisdictional grounds for the reason that it's being brought into the venue that it's being brought into. All acts necessary or precedent to the bringing of this claim occurred in Marion County, Indiana. Alright, so there's another reason that they have jurisdiction. We're going to go a little further. This court has jurisdiction pursuant to Title 28, subsection 1331, and I could add other stuff there too. I could go into state statutes and stuff and show that the court has jurisdiction through the state statutes if you want to embellish, if you will. Sometimes I think that it's good to be that thorough, but then again, sometimes less is more. We're going to go ahead and articulate the counts. Remember the first procedure that we went through was just to get our docket number. Now we're going to go ahead and lay everything out because we have a docket number. And we're going to list out the 5 counts. Count 1, false arrest. Count 2, extortion. Count 3, assault and battery. Count 4, theft. Count 5, denial of due process. Alright, so I just cooked up this little story in my head. This is all hypothetical, but when you listen to it, it will sound pretty realistic because let's just face it, this shit happens every fucking day, alright? On the 17th of May, 2022, claimant and wrongdoer were traveling down I-95 headed south when wrongdoer, who at times acts as a deputy sheriff, initiated a traffic stop. Okay? That's just a fact, alright? We're just doing the general facts at this point. And I don't know if you missed it. We'll scroll back up a little bit so you can see it. General facts, alright? This isn't about our semantics, how it made us feel like we had sand in our vaginas, or, it upset my stomach. None of that shit is fucking relevant. I have people all the time send me shit that they're trying to get through the court, and I have a hard time being a nice guy about it. One, because coddling you guys doesn't do any fucking good for any of you, alright? Nobody cares how the fuck you felt about a motherfucking thing. I won't be real with you. I used to write 90-page fucking bullshit documents, and my buddies all laughed at me. They're like, Derek, you really fucking think they care about the sand in your vagina? Get the fuck over it, buddy. They don't care. They want facts, and they want the law violated. That's it. They don't give a fuck about anything else. They don't care how Cindy Lou felt. They don't care what you think other people felt or how other people see you now. It's all hyperbole. It's all bullshit, and nobody cares. So it took me a long time to get over that shit. A long fucking time. But hopefully, through the school of hard knocks that I had to go through, you will soon learn that nobody gives a fuck, all right? About the semantics, about how you felt. Nobody fucking cares. All right? So, number 9 is a sentence, and it's to the point, and it's point blank and simple. On the 17th of May, 2022, we're identifying the date. Claimant and wrongdoer were traveling. We're identifying what the fuck they were doing. Down I-95, we're identifying the location. Headed south in what direction? When wrongdoer, who at times acts as deputy sheriff. So now we're identifying him in his capacity, okay, as a deputy sheriff. The wrongdoer is still the wrongdoer. The deputy sheriff can't fucking hurt you. The wrongdoer who at time acts as a deputy sheriff is the wrongdoer, okay? And that's John Doe Smith. We've made that perfectly clear up at the top where it says hereinafter. Wrongdoer, John Doe Smith, hereinafter, wrongdoer. So everybody's on the same page. This is how they write their writs and do their charging allegations and all that good jazz. So it makes sense just to follow suit, all right? And again, the deputy sheriff can't cause you harm, just like the governor can't cause you harm. The state patrol can't cause you harm. Why, ladies and gentlemen? We've all been through this before. Get the sand out of your vagina. These are titles, and titles can't fucking hurt you. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but your titles can't bust my balls, all right? Get over it. Initiated a traffic stop, all right? So, we've got that fact. Then we go to number 10. Number 10, a copy of the issued security traffic ticket is attached as Exhibit 1. Why are we attaching that citation, or that traffic ticket, or that security, or that copy thereof? It's because proof of the encounter, all right? That's something that agent and agency, John Doe Smith, who's our wrongdoer, who at times acts as a deputy sheriff, created his own evidence against him, okay? And we now have evidence of it. We're going to use that to our benefit. That's why when I get pulled over, which rarely ever happens, because I typically follow the road signs, and the older I get, the slower I go. People get so pissed off at me. You ought to see the 20-year-olds flying by me, giving me the middle finger, because I'm doing 35 and a 40, and they are just livid about it. And I remember those days when I was in a big hurry and a big rush to get shit done, because, time's just ticking away, but now I'm kind of laid back, slow, old, and I'm not in a hurry to go to my grave just yet, right? Okay, so number 10, we're just identifying what evidence we have, and that we're going to label it Exhibit 1, and that's going to be the issued security, otherwise identified as a citation or traffic ticket, okay? Number 11, wrongdoer demanded license, registration, and proof of insurance. Now, everything that you're seeing in these brackets is not something that I would typically have on the page. I'm doing this for the viewing audience, all right? So you understand where I'm coming from and why I'm doing what I'm doing. That would be a violation of your Fourth Amendment, absent a crime. In order to constitute a crime, there must be a man or woman claiming harm, damage, injury, or loss, and it must be supported by oath or affirmation, and hopefully they actually have witnesses to go along with it that would constitute a crime, okay? Or a reason for them to detain you and stop you, because now, under the Sixth Amendment, you have the right to face your accuser. Prior to that, just simply pulling you over, demanding your license, registration, proof of insurance is bogus, all right? That's the enforcement of revenue-generating codes, all right? They're out there trying to extort you, fleece you, under the guise and pretense that you're engaged in commerce, okay? And that right there violates your Fourth Amendment. You don't have any reason to give any of these people any of this shit, okay? Unless, and we'll get to it. So that's number 11. Number 12, and again, I just drew this shit up in my head based upon some of the experiences I've had and what I see out there, all right? Number 12, claimant inquired, okay, remember claimant is the American badass, hereinafter, claimant, asked a question, what crime had been committed? So what the claimant's asking is what reasonable articulable suspicion, RSA, supported by a reasonable articulable fact, RAF, that wrongdoer had first-hand knowledge claimant had committed a crime granting rise to identify. All right, you always have to be engaged in a crime in order to be forced to identify. Otherwise, you can set back on the Fourth Amendment. That protects your unalienable right not to identify unless you have been accused.
It's kind of like Texas Code 3802. Alright, you don't have to identify unless you committed a crime or you're arrested. Alright, well, which is arrested, so you had to be, had to identify there. But when you get pulled over, there's another code saying you must show your driver's license. Well, wait a minute. Okay, so there's two different laws contradicting one another. That's not legal, lawful, or constitutional, state or federal. So they broken all four of them. Alright? Legal, legalese, lawful, state constitution, and federal constitution. So just in the state of Texas, with the two different laws right there by itself, contradicts one another, and that's it. Well, all four of them.
Accused of violating the law, which would be violating somebody else's rights. Okay. 13. Wrongdoer demanded claimant produce said documents, or claimant would be subject to. That constitutes threat, duress, and coercion from the wrongdoer. Okay? Wrongdoer says, if you don't give me this, this is what's going to happen to you. That's threat, duress, and coercion. Not quite extortion yet. I guess it could constitute as extortion. If you wanted to push the extreme, you could probably get it off. But to be on the safe side, we're just going to call it threat, duress, and coercion. All right? 14. Claimant inquired again what crime was committed. Again, we're asking for the RSA and the RAF, a reasonable articulable suspicion supported by a reasonable articulable fact that wrongdoer had first-hand knowledge claimant had committed a crime granting rise to identify. At this point, we go to number 15. 15. Wrongdoer then ordered claimant out of automobile and handcuffed said claimant. Now, the act of ordering somebody out of a car is not battery, but the second he puts his hands on you is battery. It constitutes assault and battery. Then, by putting you in handcuffs and moving you from one location to the next constitutes kidnapping, okay? I don't care if it's an inch or a fucking mile. Moving somebody against their will from one place to another constitutes kidnapping. It's also false arrest and false imprisonment. And we've been through the treatise on arrest and false imprisonment by Charles A. Wiseman, and we'll go through it again, but I want you to understand that's what happens, okay? When you're moving somebody from a place where they're comfortable and wish to be to a place they don't wish to be, that's a false arrest, okay? That's kidnapping, false imprisonment. And the battery comes when they touch your body and put cuffs on you and take you from one area to another, which constitutes assault and battery, which are normally tied together, although they're two very separate and distinguished things, legally speaking. 16. Claimant was placed in wrongdoer's patrol car, kidnapping, false arrest, false imprisonment again. 17. Claimant demanded 3 times to be taken immediately before the magistrate judge. That's what we call, ladies and gentlemen, due process of law. If you're going to deny anybody their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, you must take them immediately before the magistrate if you don't already have a grand jury indictment or warrant for their arrest. That's due process of law. So that's where the due process of law violation comes in, okay? 18. Wrongdoer then...
Stop there for a second. On a couple of videos I talked about it, but I never said due process. But to remind things, you must have to say these things 3 times. Everything's in threes. For some reason or another, I don't know why that is. But in courts it's threes. And anytime you want to get everything established, the courts would recognize it's been established 3 times. And that way there is, I'm under the impression, the meetings of the minds, right? So, and it's been clearly established. And when you say it 3 times, it's been clearly established is what you wish for.
Contacted a towing agency and had claimant's automobile towed from the highway. That's theft by taking. Now you could call it grand theft auto. There's a number of things, but just typically theft will suffice. All right. 19. Wrongdoer then took claimant to local jail for booking purposes. Fingerprints, photographs, and fancy new clothes. Everybody's got to love that shit, right? Well, that's actually a violation of the 8th Amendment, United States Constitution, cruel and unusual punishment. It's also found in all 50 state constitutions, and it also constitutes a denial of due process of law. Why? Because the claimant originally stated 3 times that he wished and desired to be taken before a magistrate immediately per due process of law. Before you deprive me of my life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, I have a right to be before a magistrate where both of us can be heard. All right? And by skipping ahead and taking me to fingerprints, photographs, and fancy new clothes, okay, which constitutes cruel and unusual punishment, it also constitutes denial of due process of law. And by doing these things, they show their intent. By fingerprints, photographs, and fancy new clothes, they show their intent was never to take you before a magistrate first and foremost, but rather to collect from having you booked into their facilities. Okay? Now,
we're going to pause that right quick. Just a reminder, just in case I haven't said it, or to remind y'all. The 48 hours to 72 hours was an old law, mainly because we had traveling judges. We didn't have judges in courts all the time. You know, basically we had judges shortages, all right? So they had, on the horseback, had to travel from maybe one part of the state to another part of the state, like from Albuquerque, New Mexico down to Carlsbad, New Mexico, all right? Or from traveling on a horse from Houston to Dallas, you know. So they had to give some time for the judge to come in there, even though as a due process thing, it was what was considered reasonable to be able to get the judge there. Now that being said, like he said, there was no warrant in the first place. So therefore, lawfully, he wasn't even allowed to be arrested in the first place. Alright? But that was the whole ordeal about the 42 hours and all that. Well, we've got 48 hours. No. There's a judge 24 hours a day on call. So if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, by gosh, say it 3 times and say we're going to do this the right way. You need to wake up that judge. And we need to go see that judge. Or the magistrate. You know, and if they don't want to wake up that magistrate, well, you got to decide now, because you're going to be held liable for the kidnapping, officer. Alright? This is your notice. This is your notice of liability of trespass, officer. If you don't wake up that judge, I'm going to make a claim. And, you know, and I would do that 3 times. You want to give him notice of liability of trespass. That way he can have second thoughts. One time in court, and this is hearsay, so I was not there, but this has happened to a brother, and I had a brother who was witness to the actions. Went and filed a ticket. And the judge said, bailiff, told the bailiff to arrest my brother, and the bailiff for contempt of court. And the bailiff was walking up towards him, and my brother told him, "Don't you dare trespass upon I, man." And that bailiff stopped and just kind of looked at the judge, and the judge looked at him, and my brother just kind of looked at that bailiff one more time and said, "Don't you dare trespass upon I, man." And so that bailiff never actually arrested him. Now, they talked a little bit after the courts, and talked to the officers and all that, and they're really eager to learn, because they really don't learn these things. I mean, they're really just as ignorant in the Constitution as most of we the people, and how all this lawful things actually work. Alright, but it was a true story. My brother told me, and my other brother told me. He's like, just a sight to see, and it just put him at a standstill. Alright.
We go to number 20. Claimant demanded to make a phone call. And again, this is all just hypothetical, but in reality, it happens every day. Alright, and I'm just wanting to show you how I structure a claim for a harm that's been caused by way of trespass. Okay? Wrongdoer stated if claimant complied with booking procedures and signed the traffic ticket, and all documents presented, claimant would be granted one call. If claimant refused to comply, claimant would not be allowed to make a phone call. Okay, this is what the wrongdoer conveyed to the claimant. Okay, the American badass. All right, and wrongdoer, while doing this, is actually engaging in what we call extortion. Okay, he's saying if this, then that. If you don't do this, and you don't go along to get along, and you don't sign this ticket, and you don't cooperate with the booking procedures, and you refuse to do fingerprints, photographs, and sign the relevant documents for booking purposes, then I'm not going to give you a call. But if you comply with everything, then I'll give you your phone call. That's extortion. Okay? So we're just identifying the crimes, the violation.
Again, when you do that, and he may not say it, he may agree or may just not agree, I don't know, but you still want to give notice of trespass, notice of liability on that officer when he denies you that, and you want to put it in that paperwork that you gave him notice of liability. Alright, darn near every court case there's some type of notice. So you always want to give notice. And if you can, do it 3 times. Once again, we always got to go in 3s. Alright, so you put your notice the cop that, that's like a due process, and you're going to be liable. And try to do it 3 times. That way you're covered. And get as much as everything you can recorded. And get the body cams and all that, especially in the jailing facility. See if you can get the recordings of the booking deal, because you want to get evidence on that and follow it in there, especially when you give the officers notice, especially 3 times. A couple times, 1 time should be efficient, but the courts really recognize 3 times.
Of your unalienable rights. 22. Claimant did comply under duress with booking and signed all documents wherein claimant was granted the ability to make a phone call. Now, do you notice? I didn't go into the semantics of how it made me feel, or why it gave me sand in my vagina and made me feel like I'd stared at the end of a welding rod for 12 hours and put sand in my eyeballs. No. We're just simply stating the facts. That's it. Alright? Because again, nobody gives 2 flying fucks about how you feel, Scooter. Alright? Wherefore, claimant seeks remedy in the form of some certain $300 on counts 1 through 5. I declare, this is from Title 28, 1746, 1. Okay, I declare, certify, verify, or state under the penalty of perjury, under the laws of the United States of America, that the foregoing is true and correct. Executed and signed. It's really that simple. And if you want, you can go ahead and add yourself a little notary page, and you can sign it before a notary if you like. Okay? So this would be submitted to the court. Again, remember our first one was just a claim of harm by way of trespass, and that's how we're getting our docket number. And now we're going ahead and we're moving forward with our verified claim. Okay? And we're itemizing it and detailing it as such. Now, with this, we will allonge an affidavit. Okay? An affidavit is where you're going to actually state detail by detail by detail how everything occurred to the best of your recollection. You're going to sign it under the pains and penalties of perjury, facing 1 year in jail or a $10,000 fine. Okay? And you're going to let the court know that you're putting up some liability here. You got some fucking skin in the game, Scooter. You're facing going to jail if you fraudulently bring a claim against another man, causing him harm, damage, or loss. And not only that, but you're also putting skin in the game saying that you're liable if you can't prove this claim. All right? Now, there's some elements that you have to meet in order to substantiate this information: false arrest, extortion, assault and battery, theft, denial of due process of law. They all have elements that you have to meet. You're going to meet them elements, okay, in your affidavit. You're going to make sure all those elements are there. Okay? And for the most part, you've made sure those elements are here. But again, just throw that shit right out the fucking window. Nobody, hey, if you've been married for the last 5 years, just ask your wife if she gives a fuck. She'll tell you she don't give a fuck. She don't care how you feel, Scooter. You better take out the trash come Friday morning, because it goes out Friday mid-afternoon. And she rightly don't give a damn about how you feel about getting up an extra half hour early to get the trash out. She don't care. Just like the judge don't care about how you feel. Your wife don't care about what you have a duty to do around the house. She don't care. All right? She cooks, she cleans, she does all this stuff. Your job is trash detail, and she don't care how you feel about it. So anyway, this was just a little skit laid out by me with everything I got crammed in my head. It's a hypothetical situation. You guys can go back through there, but you can see what I did. Wherefore, claimant seeks remedy in the form of some certain. Now, this is something that was pointed out to me by Mr. Anonymous, and this is why I love this man so much. Some certain. Them two magical motherfucking words right there. Bibbity bobbity fucking boo. All right? Alakazam. Make this instrument negotiable. Okay? That's some magic shit right there in the air. And you ain't never gonna see a lawyer do that shit right there. I guarantee it. You're not gonna see that. So, that's from me to you, with lots of love, trying to help you guys out, form your claims, and make shit happen. Again,